EZAs have been one of the best additions in Dokkan history, taking units from potential meta irrelevance to making them relevant and powerful options on teams has been one of Dokkan's calling cards for years now. A big aspect of what makes a great celebration in the game are what the EZAs look like. With that being said, here are the top 10 strongest EZAs in Dokkan history. Coming in at number 10, we have LR Prime Battle Frieza. Now, to get Prime Battle Frieza, it was a whole fiasco. First, you had to do Prime Battle Super Saiyan Goku's EZA area, and to do that, you needed to do LR STR Goku Black EZA area, Int Frieza and AGL Cooler's EZA area, Tech Slug's EZA area, Raditz's EZA area, and Android 13's EZA area, all of which required a very specific pool of characters to even challenge their events. And once you did that, you then had to take on Tech Prime Battle Goku's EZA area and clear it, which was not an easy stage. Especially because none of the units fell under the proper leader skills. But once you did that, finally, you also had to do Slug Movie Kaioken Goku's EZA, STR Namek Gohan, the free-to-play unit's EZA, STR Baba Shop Krillin's EZA, AGL free-to-play Namek Piccolo's EZA, and AGL Bardock's EZA. Get all these units, they were all free to play. Then, finally, you could take down Prime Battle's LR STR Frieza's EZA. It was a lot to do, but once you did it, man, was he amazing. He had really good super attack effects. On his 12 key, he raised his attack and defense by 50%, and on his 18, he greatly lowered attack and defense of the enemy. While his passive skill doesn't look like much to look at, his passive in combination with his super powerful links, notably links like Big Bad Bosses, Metamorphosis, Thirst for Conquest, all of which are some of the most powerful links in the game, he also had pretty good defense and was very self-sufficient with his ki, seeing as he got 3 ki when attacking superclass enemies and got 3 ki as the first or third attacker in the turn, on top of his key links like Strongest Clan in Space and Fear and Faith, most of which you'd have with other Frieza Clan or Wicked Bloodline units. He was really just very, very, very good for the time. Good enough for number 10 on this list. Coming in at number 9, we have the first LR EZA for a summonable unit in LR Goku and Frieza. LR Goku and Frieza got exactly everything they needed to be great when Dokkan decided to EZA them during the 6th anniversary. They got the ability to raise their defense on their 12 and 18 key super attacks. They got additional defense when performing an 18 key super attack, which they did not have prior to EZA. And they got a massive extra buff for when the enemy is basically debuffed in any way. On top of that, while they didn't super heavily struggle for ki, occasionally they could, so they just decided to give them 1 ki at the start of each turn, up to 7. They also have the highest single buff in a leader skill to a single category in 177%. This EZA just made Reps of Universe 7 go way over the top during the 60th anniversary. I mean, LR Goku and Frieza would do like 10 million attack stats and have very respectable defense after super attacking. They were just very, very, very good. But that's LR Goku and Frieza. They come in at number 9. Moving on to number 8. And coming in at number 8, and it might be too soon, but I don't think so. It's my GOAT, Tech Ultimate Gohan. Now, this guy just came out a couple weeks ago, and Tech Ultimate Gohan was great when he first came out. He had greatly stacking, which is raising his attack and defense by 50% each super attack, and he had guaranteed guard, a very dominantly strong combination. And then after his EZA, they decided to give him not 1, but 2 potential chances to launch additional super attacks, making this guy potentially able to quadruple super every single turn. He stacks so fast. I don't think there's a unit that stacks as fast as this guy. On top of that, they even gave him a bit extra defense and small damage reduction for his first turn. Prior to transformation, he has decent links, notably units like the Saiyan Lineage, and powerful defensive, such as All in the Family and Cold Judgment. But that's not all. He has his transformation, which is just, ugh, man. He gets the AGL Gogeta buff, 50% buff for 3 turns, has a 70% chance to stun on his super attack. He still maintains his guaranteed guard, gets a guaranteed additional super attack, and if he gets hit prior to him attacking, he's super effective against all types. And if you're against a Buu Saga enemy or an enemy who has 58% or more HP, he does guaranteed crits. So yeah, he's broken. This guy just stacks and stacks and stacks, and then he does amazing damage, and then he has got dominant defense, and he's literally like unkillable. After a couple of turns of super attacks, he's just mwah, perfect, man. He's just so good. But that's Tech Ultimate Gohan at number 8. Moving on to number 7. And at number 7, we got a super controversial unit, STR Blue Kaioken Goku. Now, his EZA released during the 8th anniversary. He has a pretty respectable super attack effect. He greatly stacks attack, 50% buff, and raises his defense by 30% for the turn. His passive gave him 159% attack and defense, which was a notable buff from the 59% it used to be prior to his EZA. When there was another Universal Survival Saga ally attacking in a turn, he got guaranteed guard and a 50% chance to launch an additional super attack for 5 turns. He also got super effective against all types and an additional attack buff if his HP was 59% or below, which is coincidentally his active skill condition, along with 3 or more reps of Universe 7 allies on the team. And that active skill, the Spirit Bomb, is precisely what makes him so brokenly powerful. The Spirit Bomb just did a bajillion damage. This thing did like a 10 million damage because it was super effective against all types from his passive. Not to mention it raising his allies' attack by 30% for the turn, meaning he supported, which makes his attacks on that turn plus his allies' attacks much more powerful, as it's a 30% active skill buff, on top of having extremely powerful Saiyan links. As long as you could find 3 or more reps of Universe 7 category allies to fit on the team, he would be a pretty solid option. But that's STR Blue Kaioken Goku. He comes in at number 7. Moving on to number 6. Coming in at number 6, we actually have 2 units, that is STR Goku and Vegeta, who fuse into Vegito, and physical Buutenks / Buuhan. Now, STR Super Vegito got some pretty decent buffs. In base, Goku and Vegeta, they got the ability to stack defense on their 12 and 18 key super attacks. Their EZA also gave them more built-in additionals inside their kit. Additional super attacks, that is, along with some increased crit chance and an extremely noticeable extra damage reduction. They had 30% prior to their EZA, but got up to 50% after their EZA. Their active skill condition, which was turn 4, 77% HP or less, allowed them to fuse into STR Super Vegito, who, this guy is insane. His super attack effects gave him 50% attack and defense for the turn, and his 18 key also sealed. His passive skill fully recovered your HP for the turn, gave him guard for 3 turns, gave him a 10-turn super attack scouter, which is just so busted. And then he also got 60% damage reduction against normals. He got additional crit chance every time he attacked, which coincided with his counters. And these counters would just, oh my god, they just hit so hard. They just hit so hard. I mean, it's not a surprise STR Super Vegito is a 2024 unit. He came out during the end of the 9th anniversary, but it's still shocking how hard these counterattacks hit for. He is one of the strongest damage dealing units in the entire game. But you also had Buutenks, who came out alongside STR Vegito, who had powerful super attack effects, greatly stacking attack with their 12 key and greatly stacking defense with his 18 key. He had a 70% chance to dodge and a 30% chance to evade enemy attacks. STR Vegito and Buutenks both had the double LR int Gohan key mechanic. He also recovered 20% HP at the start of the turn, which is a lot of healing. He also got guaranteed guard for his first turn, or when you enter the turn at 90% or lower HP, which was decently common. And he also got an extra 20% chance to dodge and survived KO attacks when under 80% HP. He then had his powerful active skill, which could be activated on turn 4, 50% HP or more, which he'd play an awesome animation and absorb Ultimate Gohan, and then become LR Buuhan, who was extremely powerful. His super attack buffed him for 4 turns, meaning you could float him, and he'd still keep his multiple stacks of his super attack effect, and his 18 key also sealed just like STR Super Vegito. He also recovered 20% HP at the start of turn, meaning on the turn you activate his active skill, you could potentially recover 40% HP from Buutenks and then transforming into Buuhan. He got guaranteed guard, which is just always amazing, 50% chance to dodge, guaranteed additional super attack, another guaranteed additional super attack for 3 turns, enemy attack nullification on his 18 key super attack for 5 turns, and then he also got a guaranteed seal on the enemy for 5 turns, a 5-turn seal. Man, that just completely cucks STR Cell Max, who this Buutenks unit just absolutely solos that fight. On top of his super powerful links, I mean, Buutenks, Buuhan, STR Super Vegito, they just dominated, and they were amazing. And, well, I don't know why I'm talking about them in the past tense. They're still amazing. I mean, they only got their EZA just under 3 months ago, and they're still great. Good enough for number 6. Moving on to number 5. And coming in at number 5, we have LR Blue Kaioken Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta. Now, while I think STR Vegito and Buuhan are both probably better than this guy, in fact, I'd say so, for the 3 weeks they were out prior to Vegito and Buuhan, they were insanity. Essentially, what this unit does is just a bajillion damage with good defense. And it's turn 1, so it's like free, and like there's no build up, it's just dominance right away. Turn 1, frame 1. They had super powerful super attack effects. I mean, these are some of the best super attack effects in the game. 50% buff on their 12 key, 100% buff on their 18 key, plus their lowering attack and defense. They got 4 key, 170% attack and defense at the start of turn. They created their own rainbow key spheres when there was another superhero category ally on the team, which, I don't know if you've heard, but superhero is far and away the best team in the game, led by far and away the best unit in the game, STR Beast Gohan. They had a nuking passive where they get 7% attack and defense per orb, and then they also get 7% crit chance, 7% damage reduction, and a guaranteed additional attack with a 50% chance for it to be a super attack. And they got a maximum of 3 additional super attacks with those rainbow key spheres, which is what, procs the part of the passive. They also got an extra 2 key per rainbow key sphere, but here's the part that makes them insane. While they got an extra 70% attack and defense when key was 18 or more, they also got guaranteed crits at full 24 key. And 24 key on this unit was free. They quite literally almost always get 24 key. So a unit doing like 20, 15, 17 million attack stats with guaranteed crits, plus a potential of 4 additional 12 key super attacks, each of which could be like 10, 12, 13, 15 million attack stats. All of that guaranteed crits, that's just so much damage. All of that with really good defense. And then on top of that, they had their godly, insane active skill, which gave them full 24 key, aka guaranteed crits, and 70% active skill attack buff. And while it did absolutely neuter their defense, a 50% decrease active skill debuff, it just didn't matter, because once you look at another part of their passive, they got 70% damage reduction when HP is 50% or lower, which just happens to coincide with their active skill condition. Meaning on a turn that you pop this active skill and you got like, let's say 3 rainbow orbs, you got 91% damage reduction on that turn, which even though they completely destroy their defense, they just could not take damage. And then on that turn, they're doing like a 30 million 18 key, 24 key attacks that guaranteed crit. And then they're following that up with like 25 million, 12 keys. Like, just the damage is ridiculous. Ludicrous. Absolutely insane. And they had great key links, and they were great on the best team in the game, superheroes. They mesh so well on that team, and they just dominate. They're so good, and their animations are so beautiful, and everything about this unit is so good. It's actually stunning how good they made them. Like, usually they make Dokkan Fest EZAs really good. Not this good. I mean, anniversary unit EZAs, like, Dokkan Fest EZAs are not this good. And these guys are godly, and they're just dominant. They don't take no prisoners. But yep, that's LR Blue Kaioken Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta at number 5. Time for number 4. Now at number 4, you gotta go way back then. And to be honest, this could low-key be a little low on this list. But you got Janemba. For a period of like 3 years, it wasn't even a question of who you should pick up with your red dragon stone that you get for free during the big celebrations. You were getting in Janemba, and there was really any debate. Janemba was by far the best EZA in the game for a minute. And now his leader skill and his super attack effect are pretty much fodder. They don't really matter. What matters is guaranteed guard. Strong. That's all there really is to it. On top of that, he got a medium chance to dodge, which for the time was pretty decent. On top of having a decent 70% attack and defense buff, but what really made him amazing was his insane link set. Janemba units have some of the best links in the game. Notable links like Big Bad Bosses, Metamorphosis, Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, and Shocking Speed are all some of the best links in the game. Janemba kinda was just the best EZA for a really, really long time. And his multiple years of dominance basically assured that he needed a spot on this list. That's ain't Super Janemba though. Moving on to number 3. Now at number 3, we got Physical Vegito Blue. Now Vegito Blue really just had the best of both worlds when it came to Vegeta units, as he had damage reduction and counters along with additional attacks. GL Super Vegito and most Super Vegito units got counters, while most Vegito Blue units, such as Tech TUR Vegito Blue, had additional attacks that, could be super attacks. But Physical Vegito Blue got both of them, as a result was dominant. Him being able to potentially quadruple super attack on top of his very powerful super attack effect of giving him 50% attack and defense for the turn, all of which made his counters hit harder and harder. On top of that, his counters prior to him attacking also had a chance to proc the hidden potential additional, which led to even more damage and better defense. Essentially, he just did a gajillion damage, lots of damage, and had good defense. He was one of the hardest hitting units in the game as an EZA who was almost 5 years old when he came out. He also had a very powerful fusion link set, and unlike notable Tech TUR Vegeta Blue had both prepared for battle and over in a flash, meaning he was very cohesive with his ki, leading to very good team building and potential ease to super attack. He also was on a lot of teams and was also part of the tail end of the very dominant Blue Fusion meta from the 5th year anniversary, which led to him having a great team. But that's Vegito Blue. He gets number 3 on this. Moving on to number 2. And speaking of the blue fusions, coming in at number 2, we have the LR blue fusions. Now, Vegito and Gogeta were just outrageous. They came out during the 8th anniversary and essentially got everything they needed. They both stack attack on both 12 and 18 key super attacks in base, and they also got defense raises, which they notably did not have prior to EZA. Got a 70% chance to dodge in slot 3, and a 70% chance to launch an additional super attack in slot 1 or 2, but really you mainly just wanted them in slot 3 for the 70% chance to dodge, which even after their EZA, they weren't terrible defensively like they were prior to their EZA, but they weren't amazing defensively. And part of why they were decent defensively was because they got 100% defense when attacking, which notably they did not have prior to EZA. An extra bonus was that Gogeta had both prepared for battle and over in a flash, while Vegito only had over in a flash. But then on turn 4, they transform, and oh boy, does the party get started. Essentially, they did pretty similar things. They both gave themselves 50% attack and defense on their 12 key super attacks, and 50% defense for 3 turns on both of their 18 key super attacks. They also both got guaranteed dodge on their first turn after they transformed and went blue. And then, this is where the differences come in. Vegito had a guaranteed additional super attack and then a medium chance of launching a second super attack as the first or second attack on the turn. And Gogeta had 2 guaranteed additional attacks, each of which had a 30% chance of being a super attack, and he was super effective against all types in slot 1 and 2. In slot 3, they had the same passive where they got 7 key and a guaranteed additional super and a 70% chance to dodge. And then they also both built up the same, where they built up to 5 key and 22% attack and defense up to 88% with each attack performed. Gogeta then got guaranteed crits when he launched his active skill or when his key was 24, and Vegito got an extra additional super attack. And their active skills are just crazy. They're some of the prettiest animations in the game, especially Gogeta's. The activation condition for both was one enemy 50% HP or less, starting from the turn after they transformed, or their next appearance after they transformed. And then it essentially just did a lot of damage. Like a lot of damage. And if you used it in slot 3, it would proc the part of their passive that corresponds to slot 3, which was the 70% chance to dodge. And then if you threw them in slot 1 or 2, basically they could proc both parts of their passive if you use their active skill in slot 3 and then throw them in slot 1 or 2, or vice versa. On top of having super amazing dominant links and working amazingly well with each other, they were just dominant and great EZAs. Amazing, some of the fan favorite EZAs in this game's history. Maybe the fan favorite EZAs. I mean, I've never heard anybody say a bad word about the Blue Fusion's EZA. But they're good enough for number 2, but they're not number 1. And at number 1, I don't think it's that much of a surprise. EZA, the most noble and supreme form in all the universe, whose radiant glow places him at the pinnacle of all beings in existence. The truly transcendent one, the one above all. LR AGL UI Goku and LR Evolution Blue Vegeta. Just some jaw-dropping EZAs. They're both pretty similar, but they do have some slight differences, notably that AGL UI Goku gets 50% attack on his 12 key and 100% attack on his 18 key, and Vegeta gets 50% defense on both his 12 and 18 key, and also gets 50% attack on his 18 key. Now, essentially, AGL UI Goku has dodge, and dodge is just one of the strongest mechanics in the game. 77% chance to dodge. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He also got guaranteed dodge for the first turn, and 7% additional dodge chance, which does not stat with every additional dodge evaded. He also got ki and dodge chance for every dodge, and guaranteed crits and an additional attack buff when ki was 24 or he did his active skill. But what makes these guys really insane is their revive mechanic. Prior to their EZA, you had to go through a bunch of hoops to activate their revive, but they cut away most of the restrictions after their EZA. AGO UI Goku's revive is just you enter the turn 77% HP or less, and then you die, and then you revive with 77% HP. Once you revive, or an ally revived, he got 70 and 77% attack and defense. And if he himself revived, he got another turn of guaranteed dodge. And Evolution Blue Vegeta was even better. He got guaranteed guard for the first turn, and he had 50% damage reduction. On top of that, he got 10% extra damage reduction with each attack he gets hit with, on top of that 50% baseline damage reduction. So basically he had up to 80% damage reduction when he gets hit for that fourth time. He then got to build up with each attack performed, and also, like AGO UI Goku, had a 77% chance to launch an additional super attack, and has the 77% attack buff and guaranteed crits when he launched his active skill, or ki was 24. His revive, however, was different than AGO UI Goku's. Him needing just to get hit 5 or more times, and then boom, he can pop his revive. Once you die, he'll revive with 77% HP as well, and he'll get the same 7 ki and 77% attack and defense that AGO UI Goku gets when he or an ally pops a revive, and if it's Evolution Blue Vegeta himself's revive, he'll get guaranteed guard for that next turn. Then they had their very powerful active skills, which could be activated from turn 4, 50% HP or more. Evolution Blue Vegeta's did mega colossal damage to all enemies, so as an AoE, and UI Goku gave him a 50% attack buff temporarily and did a lot of damage, but to only one enemy. They also have very good link sets, namely UI Goku, who has very good links and links very well with STR EZA LRUI Goku. And although Evolution Blue Vegeta does not, for some god forbidden reason, have the Super Saiyan link because they wanted to make him link better with AGO UI Goku during the 6th year anniversary, he still has a pretty good, respectable link set. On top of them having just a bajillion categories and just being top 3 units in the game, both, right? Like, Evolution Blue Vegeta is better, but UI Goku's right there. Like, they're by far and away the strongest EZAs that Dokkan's ever released. But that's my list of the top 10 strongest EZAs of all time. Let me know what you thought of my list, if anybody got snubbed, or if you think the list should have been different, or somebody potentially didn't deserve to be on this list. But just know that if you disagree, you're wrong. But I appreciate you for watching. That's gonna do it for me. Thanks for stopping by.